A trip to Antarctica that changed lives. Humans have always shared a bond with nature. Our primal roots have been embedded in the wild since the times that we used to live like cavemen. With modernization, humans have forgotten the ties that we share with nature, but the primal instincts are in every one of us. The story explains such a fascinating encounter that changed the lives of some men that visited Antarctica. A team of 5 researchers started their journey to explore the ice desert in the summer months of 1918. They wanted to study the plants and animals that thrived in such cold and unbearable low temperatures. Joseph, along with 3 of his fellow researchers and friends, went to Antarctica with the sole purpose of studying and exploring nature. The journey was funded by a private organization where he worked as a botanist. He was a curious young scientist who was offered the job to bring back samples of fauna in Antarctica. Joseph and his team started the preparations and soon set sail to their destination with brave hearts and sheer curiosity. It was a long journey, and one of his fellow researchers got seasick after a few days. A strange tension began to develop between the crew members on this long journey that reflected from their expressions. The change of environment and the vast stretches of water had affected the young people who had no previous exposure to such hectic expeditions. Joseph was, however, a strong and brave young man. He made sure the team didn't lose their confidence as they were getting close to their target. It had been days since the voyage had begun, and the temperature was slowly decreasing as they moved closer to the poles of the world. The ship crew was going to wait in the sea away from the land, and they had 1 week to return, otherwise the ship would leave without them. The crew researcher brushed to the lower cabins to his fellows and told them to get ready for the next day. A bright spark could be seen in the eyes of the entire team members. They were finally going to set foot on the land after a very long time. The team rushed to the preparations, and the old spirit returned. A burst of curiosity and excitement enveloped the young men as they were busy packing their bags and tents for the brief stay in the Snow Kingdom. The captain of the ship contacted Joseph one day and told him that they would reach their destination the very next day. The next day, the researchers woke up and traveled in boats to the shore. The temperature below the freezing point, and a strong cold wind blew across their bodies. When the team reached the shore, they could see nothing but layers of snow over the vast, unpopulated territory. It was a day's journey to their camping site from the shore. They used sleds and hiking poles to travel in thick ice layers with all of their belongings. It was an arduous journey, even for the young men, and they made small stops every 2 hours to rest before moving forward. They reached their camping site just a few hours before sunset and quickly set up tents and lit fire to prepare food. In the blink of an eye, it was nighttime. After having food, the team moved into their tents for a good night's sleep, as it was a long day ahead of them that awaited. The next morning, Joseph and his friend Emil prepared breakfast for the team, and then they geared up to find the plants and moss that grew in that wilderness. Joseph took out his compass and guided them in the north direction. After some hours, they reached some trees and shrubs that were completely covered in snow. They immediately started collecting samples from different sites and split up to save time. While collecting samples, Emil ventured away from the rest of the team and lost his way. He started shouting the names of his fellow team members, but just as he shouted, he heard a growl from the bushes. He became terrified and started running, but fell down in the snow and hit his head. He became unconscious after the injury. The next time when he opened his eyes, he was in the tent with bandages on his head, and Joseph was sitting beside him with all of his team members. He was shocked, and with a trembling voice he asked them, how did he get there? Joseph told him that they had been looking for him for many hours, and it started to get dark, so the team decided to go back to the camping site and get torches. Just then they heard howls of a wolf from the same direction. They were startled at first and started to move in the opposite direction. After a few 100 meters, they saw Emil on the ground, and a big black wolf was licking his face. Maybe the wolf was interested in the new creature that it had not previously seen. The pack of wolves used the same technique that they would use to lure prey to lure them to Emil. 3 more wolves appeared from the back of the team and circled their way to the back of the black wolf. The wolves looked at the researchers with curious eyes for some minutes and then disappeared into the dark, howling. Joseph picked up Emil on his shoulders and carried him to the tents. The expedition had to be cut short due to Emil's injuries, and the team made their way back to the ship the next day. This story gives us a valuable lesson that human curiosity is derived from nature and lurks in every being. Along with kindness and empathy, it is a true blessing, just as in this case the curiosity of a wild animal saved someone's life.